support the development of that, to make sure that Toronto has the best artists coming out of its city and all of its programs, and that on a cultural level is important to Canada and its identity.
On May 17, 2007, Manifesto and CYAN brought together over 100 youth artists and youth art practitioners for a much-needed discussion on the development of a healthy, sustainable, and world-class youth art sector in Canada.
There's so many countries, especially in Europe, who really foster their talent, and there's so many programs like in Sweden where an artist will live on the government's money and they get paid to be artists because it's recognized as an actual job. I think a lot of the problem is that being an artist isn't recognized in the community as something serious. It's not a job. I think it's really important to get it out there that as a country, we're so behind on that, and we need to realize that it's serious, that being an artist should be taken seriously, and that all of our talent shouldn't be bought by huge companies and fostered to sell coke, and it should be used in the community to actually build a cultural center and to have a city that can be recognized for its culture.
One barrier that we face, I think, is the idea in Canada that the arts is kind of like a welfare system or something. I think one thing we're doing well is bringing together business and arts and trying to find solutions to use that as a way of generating future, entrepreneurial ideas that incorporate that with an idea of social entrepreneurialism as well.
Especially in Canada, there's a lot of funding out there. We just don't know because we're young, and especially an artist doesn't want to deal with that big-ass politics stuff. They want to do their art. That's the problem, When you get older, you realize, wow, there's a lot of funding here, but how do I know about it earlier?
How many people have written a grant before?
To anyone or to others?
For an arts project or an arts organization.
How many of those were successful?
Takes funding for this paperwork. So basically, the paperwork has to become a little more simple, a little easier for the common person to do, because a lot of these artists don't have the time to go through these paperwork. Not even the time, they don't have the experience of it, because also a lot of these proposals get rejected. And season has changed, everything has changed, and mindset has changed, so the project didn't get made.
When you apply for these funding, the package that they give you, the application form, is like this high. We're only young people, and definitely the language that is in those applications is ridiculous, right? So reducing the amount of paperwork that we have to go through, reducing the language barrier as well within those applications is another big issue. And also, the promotion to these funding is lacking. They only give out the funding, the application to a certain amount, like a certain organization or a certain group that they want to focus on. Allowing that the application is given out to a wide range of young people, a wide range of organizations that are serving young people, will better create an accessibility for young people to get these funding.
There are other barriers that we can speak to as this is a barrier and then elaborate on it.
One thing I've noticed is there's no virtual hub. There's just not that one spot where I know I can go and find events that are going on, or just have that ability to connect with people. It's still kind of disjointed.
I'm now doing a youth focused one. It's a monthly thing, and that's really hard to do because there's not a lot of venues. I'm speaking of music specifically. There's not a lot of venues for that kind of thing because venues are based on selling alcohol. If you want to do an all-ages event, you want to do something with young artists, they want to know how they're going to make money. The fact is they don't. You have to put up money as a promoter, and there's a huge risk in that. I lose money every month with this thing that I'm doing, but I'm doing it because I think it's worthwhile. And I moved it to an art gallery, so it's not restricted to having to go on between 10 and 2 a.m. And it's not restricted by having to sell alcohol sales and stuff. But if there was some kind of funding there available for a space to put on actually youth-focused events, that would help a whole lot.
It should not be like that in Canada. I'm sure everybody said here, there's so much talent, so many artists, and it's too hard for everybody to get going. So the way I would use that funding is to create a physical space that could also act as a venue for artists to perform. Give everybody a venue in which they want to come and see that stuff, and it's central. And everybody's saying how it's hard to find out about these venues and stuff like that, and these shows and stuff that's going on. And if you make this place with effective marketing and proper placement, it could be a really cool thing.
What's your vision of how things could be moving forward?
The whole argument that you need to fund the communities
to do art because it's gonna keep people from doing crime with guns and whatever. And well, in terms of like, I don't personally buy into that. Like I feel like there should be a distinction and appreciation coming from government or whoever the institutions are that appreciate the art that's coming from young people, that's coming from the diversity of communities that we have in the city.
Celebrate the exact same. We have that same passion for something that's maybe more towards the older generation or towards the policymakers that they would enjoy. But celebrate it. It's just like you're that happy. Like they're getting that $80 million. The same way that we'd be excited if we were actually getting $80 million. Like celebrate it, talk about it, promote it as much as possible. It is our city. We are unity. We are a section. The arts is a section of the city, but it's not a section that's maybe necessarily viewed in a positive light all the time.
Certain institutions, you might have somebody that, where there's a disconnect, and they're not speaking the same language. But through the arts, now you're giving more access for everybody to speak the same language and communicate things together. For the policymakers that might not have that connection to that natural resource of the future, now we're able to engage and open up a dialogue between the two of us and have that continued exchange ongoing for the future.